Well, I'm sitting here next to the oryx that she killed last night, and she's actually free in an area that is the size of an entire lion pride's home range, or at least where that would start in the wild. In the Kalahari, the home ranges can be much, much larger because there's a much less prey density. But Sirga only uses about a third of this region when she is free to go. And she spends about 70% of her time actually inside her enclosure, which means I really don't think that she has any problems with the size of the region. We had wild lions move in here and spent more than a year without ever leaving Sirga's territory. So to me, she actually is released under her circumstances as much as she will ever be. We're going to look after her. Wild lions truly are suffering. The space that we always imagine is just not there for them in Africa. And we're working really, really hard to bring back some of the space, to bring back prey numbers, to create a habitat where more lions can live in again. But right now, I think Sirga actually got a bit of the best of both worlds. While she is almost free, and she's being cared for, she meets other lions, she's healthy and very content and happy. So yeah, I couldn't be more proud of the scenario we have for her, but she's definitely not a captive lion. And I would never call her a pet, because to me a pet is something that we bring into our home, our environment. Like we have an apartment or a house with a garden and some children, and now we want bunny rabbits for the kids, or a little dog or a cat, and we bring it into our home and we keep it there for our, joy and entertainment. And there's nothing wrong with that. That can be done with a nice, in a nice way for the animal. But all in all, Sirga, I've moved into her habitat. There's nothing like civilization, human-made out here. It's just me and Sirga, and I'm proud of what we achieved for her, but I certainly wouldn't call Sirga a pet in any way. Will Sirga have cubs, or why doesn't she have cubs, or why is she not breeding? And that simply has to do with a bit of a hard reality. I would never want to breed a lion for an uncertain situation. We currently have around, well over 10,000 lions living in captivity, mainly in South Africa, which is a neighboring country here, and they're being bred for a hunting industry. We have lots of lions in zoos, but we still have viable lion population out in the wild. And honestly, to me, there's no point having a captive population, not for can hunting, so that some morally questionable person can come and shoot animals for money while tourists, well-meaning tourists, play with them when they're little. It's such a horrible industry, and that's why they're captive. Even a sanctuary, in my honest opinion, I don't see the point. Well, we rescue animals from a certain captive scenario, then we keep them in a different one. And look, if there's an animal there that needs that help, that can be given a happy, good life, I don't disagree with it. That's fine, it can be done. But if that animal breeds just so that there's another one in a cage, then I'm highly against it, because it's already an overall difficult scenario. So Sirga is semi-wild. She lives in a natural habitat. She's become an ambassador for her species. But more importantly, I never set out to go and get a lion. It was the opposite. I went away from that industry, and I never wanted anything like that again. It happened by accident because she really needed help, and I did it. But I wouldn't want to just have a breed just so that I can keep more lions around, and I wouldn't know where they will actually end up. So for me, it's very important that Sirga has a great life, but that we don't irresponsibly create more lions, because the reality is that hundreds of lions in the Kalahari, probably every year, are actually being relocated, having to be caught. They're being moved, they're being shot many times as problem animals because they're killing livestock, and they're actually trying to find new territory. And meanwhile, over the last 60, 70 years, their prey numbers have declined by about 90%, which simply means there is no food left for them. There's no wild to just put lions back into. So breeding more lions simply will not help lions. It will not ultimately increase the wild population at all. It just increases captive scenarios. It often weakens genetics, and it's just nothing that actually makes sense. That's why Sirga was meant to die. If without my intervention, she would have been dead. And I've given her a great life, but I don't see any point of now creating more lions while there's so many wild ones suffering, dying, being shot, being relocated, and we could help them if we just had habitat. So that's why I don't think it makes sense to breed lions in a scenario like Sirga while there's so many wild ones that need our help desperately. And that's why Sirga is on a hormone implant, which means it's just like taking the pill or that injection that people can get. It's inserted into the side of her neck, and it lasts about 2.5 years before she will cycle again. We will allow her to cycle a few times usually, and then she'll be back on the birth control. Okay, sweetheart, that's not working. Okay, we're gonna take a break. Yeah, we'll take a break. We'll take a break, baby. To be honest, I don't know. A lot of stuff is a challenge here, and hardest moments, they really are financially all the time, because we have so much opportunity here right now, but we're lacking the funds for it. And this isn't just a one thing or one moment, but that's the biggest struggle, because doing all of this, all the vehicles, the 2 airplanes, the trucks, the workers, the camp, the area, the fences, the driving, the fuel we need to buy for everything, like the lions that we need to look after, it's just massive amounts of work, and they cost massive amounts of money, and that is my biggest, hardest moment. But it's an ongoing struggle. Patreon has become the biggest help and relaxation in that sense for me that I could possibly imagine. But yeah, money is the biggest worry and the biggest struggle, and it creates a lot of very hard moments when we know we could be doing something but we don't have the funds to do it, and that makes life hard. Somebody asked what keeps me going, and well, obviously this, if it wasn't for Sirga, I would probably not be here. It's just been far too hard in between, but I felt so responsible for her and her well-being that I would have never left her alone. It would be impossible for me to stop, and she made that happen. She made me into what I am right now. So she taught me responsibility and all of that. But what truly keeps me going now, she has a great life. I could run the guest camp, do Patreon, do nice things here and earn enough money to have a pretty nice life. But what keeps me going and what really drives me to do so much more is the potential that's out there in the Kalahari. In theory, by the time I'm old, like really old, I could be watching hundreds of thousands of antelope migrate back through an area where right now we may have a few tens of thousands of antelope left, if even that. And the landscape is there, and with some management that is possible. And just to be involved with that, I'm not saying I can do this or just Modisa as a project, but with the partners and a network of people and close collaborations with the government and the wildlife department, we can achieve that. And the idea to be part of that conservation effort, that's just so massive to me. I would do anything to make that happen, and that's why I will never stop. And the fact that Sirga and her story is now enabling us to start to really get into this work, it's just so incredible. Could have never dreamt of something like that ever happening in my life. And I just feel privileged for what I'm allowed to do with my time here on Earth, I think most of the time. Then there were some questions about safety and risk, and for example, whether it's dangerous being so close to lions. The reality is Sirga would be dangerous to anyone else being close to. But for me, even though I watch out with Sirga, I really don't think there's ever any true danger with her. That's not the case. But I have to be careful. She's a massive animal. I mean, look at the size of her paws. But generally speaking, for me, there's no risk being near Sirga. Being around with the other wildlife, if you're used to it, it really isn't that bad. I don't think living out here amongst lions and snakes and scorpions is really more dangerous than being in a city where you get run over, attacked by people. There's lots of risks everywhere in life, but once you know about them, it's really not that bad anymore. And to anyone else, a lion like Sirga would be the most dangerous thing, though. She's used to people but not friendly with others. And even for me, I need to just keep in mind what she is, how strong she is, and all that kind of stuff. That's very important, and I never forget about that. And there was someone asking whether I trust Sirga 100%, and simple answer, yes. Look, sometimes she wants to play, that can be rough, and yeah, I mean, it's just what it is, but I trust Sirga more than anyone in my life, to be honest. She's been with me so long. It's been, well, her whole life, 14 years. If she wanted to do something to me, she could have done it so many times already. And so yes, I trust her 100%, but I respect very much that she's a large predator. I respect her character. What you just have to remember what they are. She's a killing machine. They're rough with each other in the wild. I could not always sit like that with her. That's just because she's full, she is calm and happy and quiet, and well, still full of blood. She has a full stomach, and right here next to us is the oryx antelope she killed last night. But so I just have to read her and go according to her moods. There's nothing that I can influence. She's not trained. I just do whatever she allows me to do, and that's what our relationship is based on. Someone else asked whether I'm ever afraid, and well, truthfully, not really afraid would be completely the wrong word. Definitely not of Sirga. I have a lot of respect for nature and for wildlife and animals and what they are. And I'm often in situations here, you know, that most people would consider very risky, whether it's the remote area flying or, well, being with Sirga, walking around out in the bush, building things out in the middle of nowhere, driving trucks, driving through remote landscapes, dealing with poachers. But I'm never scared. Can't really remember when I would have said I would be scared the last time. I mean, I'm scared in different ways about the project, about the future, mostly how we can finance everything, but scared because of stuff out here doesn't really happen. I just have a lot of respect for things and try to treat everything accordingly. Then someone asked about emergencies and our protection. And look, the reality is just being this remote, it does make things a little bit difficult. So keeping healthy is important, doing everything responsibly is important. We have a lot of first aid stuff on site. I have pretty good first aid training. Our staff have first aid training. The doctor in the next village, which is about a 2.5-hour drive away, we're good friends. He's well aware of us and we have a good connection with him. So should we have an emergency here, we would likely get that person into town while the doctor is getting his response ready on that side. But that's still 2.5 hours until we would have actual care. It's much longer until an actual medevac team with aeroplanes would be around. So doing things responsibly, looking after your health, knowing signs of issues early, that's the most important thing. And everything we could have here to protect us and to have first aid on site, that we do have available. And of course, for our own protection, we have rifles. I do have a gun that stays with me close to my bed, just in case there's big problems at night. I'm not worried about wildlife, by the way, in this sense. I'm worried about people, especially the poachers that we sometimes interact with, that they might get angry and try to come in at night. So yes, we just prep for that, and you have to be. That's an important part of life out here. And then there was a final question whether I have insurance. And yes, I have a health insurance, which I've never needed in my life. I haven't actually had to go to a doctor in, it must be over 20 years by now. But yes, we have insurance for the business, for everything that's here. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible and not legal. So we have, our trading licenses for the camp. Everything is done legally, which requires insurance for everything that's here. So yeah, that's in place, costing lots of money, all part of part of the game, unfortunately. But yes, it's a very serious setup that we run here, even though it often just looks like it's just me and Sirga walking around the bush like some hippies, which I love that kind of aspect of the life, to be honest. But the background, the business, I take it very serious. It's all fully insured, and yeah, I'll make sure it stays like that and hope we'll never need it. Just a quick word before you go. Running a conservation project out here really is not cheap. It's in the middle of nowhere and it's fuel, vehicle maintenance, reserve boundary and fire break maintenance, salaries for the staff, veterinary costs, and the list goes on. It really costs a lot of money. And we are not a government funded project. There's no support in Botswana for this kind of work through the government. We need money in the country to carry out this work. We're also not a major NGO with lots of funds, and we finance ourselves mainly through Patreon with a wonderful community of people who supports us, who is part of the Backstage Live. And well, we hope you welcome to join us and you're keen to check it out. It starts from $1 a month. Think of it like buying a cup of coffee for a good cause once a month for somebody. It's the same kind of money, and you get access to all the behind the scenes footage, long videos just like this one. The link's in the description below, and we hope to see you there.